All right, everybody. I couldn't get the music to play, but welcome everybody. Let me get on. um, I'm putting the link in the chat here. Okay. So welcome everyone to Autism and Us, to our Let's Talk Autism Live, where this is open discussion, just another way for us to socialize and get to know each other. Whether you are joining us live or watching the replay, I am so glad to have you with us. Tonight, we got a great topic that came from our lovely sister Monique, and a couple other topics I want to talk about. So, this open discussion is going to be about safety, supervision, and sort of difficult conversations when it comes to autism. So if you are here passing through, even if you're just passing through for a bit, make sure you show us some love by hitting the like or love button. Mr. Charles, hey, I put the link in the chat. Hey, Spencer. Hey, Teresa. How are you guys? I put the link in the chat for whoever wants to come on up, Mr. Charles. And if you are just passing through again, make sure you show the live some love by hitting that like, the thumbs up for us. That will just show some support, even if you're just passing through. Because I know a lot of you just pass through. I am actually streaming live on Facebook, but I do have TikTok open and YouTube open. So, um, and again, so tonight's conversations, uh, we're going to talk about that California daycare tragedy. We're going to touch on the ABA therapist who jumped on um, one of her clients, I'm assuming. And we're going to talk about the grandmother who was crossing the street with her granddaughter and holding on to her by the ear, I'm thinking, or the hair. So I want to touch on that. But if you're coming through in the chat, make sure you let us know where you're joining from. And if you have an autistic loved one, how old is your autistic loved one? And you can share some things this week. What was one of your wins for the week? Good, the bad, and the ugly. The chat is always open for you. So let's see. You don't see the link. Let me try it the other way. You don't either, Mr. Charles? Okay, here I go. So we will do it this way. Reply. I have to directly reply. Uh-oh. Here. I'll put it here. And then let's see. I'll directly reply to Mr. Charles. Did it come up? I don't know. Let me see. I gotta open it up. uh, Mr. Charles. Let's see. Oh, okay. There's Mr. Charles. Well,
Okay.
hello there.
Hey, Nita, how are you doing?
I'm good. And
I know.
there's Teresa. How are you guys?
Good.
this evening?
And
Great,
a smart
great.
correct corrected your name, made it Anita. So I had to
Oh
correct
yeah, I seen
myself. Yeah.
that. I seen that. Let me get this off of the screen.
So how have you been doing?
Uh, Pretty good. Hi, there we go. I've been doing pretty good. Had a nice, peaceful weekend. But I do have some topics for us, you guys, and I want all of you to participate and share your thoughts. For those of you who are in the chat, if you're new here, again, my name is Nita. I am one of the admins of this wonderful establishment. And this is our Sunday, which we do every Sunday at 7 p.m. It's open discussion. No matter if you have a child on the spectrum, if you're on the spectrum yourself, or if you're just curious and want to learn about autism, the chat is always open discussion. And we will have, well, this evening, I have a topic that we're going to go through with some things that happened recently. And I'd like for all of us to talk about it and share our thoughts. Mr. Charles, you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, I'm Charlie Geese. I'm a retired mainframe computer software engineer, level one autism, diagnosed 30 years ago. My daughter was the first one to suspect that I might be on the autism spectrum, and she began urging me to watch the movie Rain Man, and that led me to my diagnosis.
Teresa?
Hi, I'm Teresa, and I am a parent to a 15-year-old with autism.
Okay. Well, and anytime any of you guys, if you'd like to come on up, you are more than welcome. Just let me know and I will share the link. If I don't get to, I want to start on our topic this evening. I will go through the comments. If I don't get to you too quickly, I will. I promise you, I will. But I'd like to start. Monique um, suggested that we talk about the incident that happened in California. I think this is something that really needs to be talked about. Well, all the things need to be talked about, but this was a tragedy. I don't know if you guys seen it where the young young teenager, I think he was about 17, was well, the 4-month-old was left in the care of the 17-year-old at a daycare. And what
Oh,
happened was the baby was unalive by the 17-year-old who is on the spectrum. So I guess that was a tragedy. That story was heartbreaking. There's a baby who lost their life. There's a teenager who has autism whose future has been forever changed. There are families whose lives will never be the same. So rather than speculate about the details, we really don't know exactly what happened. I like us to focus on what this brings up for us as caregivers. Would you feel comfortable leaving your autistic loved one alone with an infant? Do you feel that the um the daycare owner or whoever was in charge should be held accountable for leaving that child with that autistic loved one? What were they thinking? You know, um, did they put that much trust into that 17-year-old to walk out of the room? Now, for me, and while I'm answering this, I want you guys to think about that. For me, I have a 17 I mean, 17. I have a 20-year-old who is on the spectrum. There is no way that my 20-year-old, or even when he was a teenager, should be left alone in a room with a baby, with an infant. Our children can be very unpredictable. So that the daycare owner or whoever that person was should be held accountable. Um, Something should be done because there's no way that I would leave my autistic, because at any time he could have a meltdown, anything like that. We wouldn't want that to happen, but you never know what he was thinking. Did he think the baby was a toy? Did he have a sensory meltdown? The baby was crying, and maybe he just couldn't handle it, and did he pick the baby up, throw the baby down? What's going on up here? We don't know. And
I
I
think
want to hear your thoughts.
a lot depends on the autistic teenager. You know, where is he on the spectrum? How unpredictable is he or she, as the case may be? You know, a lot of things, because there are a lot of variables. As we say, autism is a spectrum, and there are a lot of variables here. But obviously, in this case, it was the wrong thing to do.
Yeah, I agree. Definitely in this case, the wrong thing to do. What are your thoughts, Teresa?
I didn't really hear about that one.
Yeah, but okay, so from what you've heard, would you feel comfortable leaving David with an infant by himself?
No,
No. Mhm.
no, I wouldn't.
Yeah, I think that was just really sad because, like I said, our kids can be unpredictable,
Yes.
especially at the levels when they're, you know, I'm not sure where that 17-year-old was on the spectrum or is, but now, you know, he's in trouble. You know, there's going to take more therapy or something to help him. I'm not sure what they're going to do. I have to go over and see what the updates are with him. But yeah, very sad. Hi, Elisa. How are you?
At the very least, those daycare owners are definitely going to be looking at some serious civil liability. Whether any criminal charges can be placed against them depends on how the law is written and depends on more details about exactly what happened
Yeah,
too. But they regardless of that, they definitely be looking at serious civil liability, if not criminal charges.
definitely. Yeah.
But I did hear about the grandmother pulling the granddaughter's hair. I did hear
Yeah,
about that
we're gonna get to that one. I want to go down the list.
one.
That was something too. That was something too. But let me check the comments real quick. Hey Spencer, so yesterday it was raining. Joshua came in and said weather is coming in above it his window. I said, "What?" Thinking his window is open. Nope, the rain gutters were clogged and it was backing the water into his window. Oh no.
Oh, wow.
Oh no. I hope you got everything straightened out. Oh yeah, that can cause some great issues. Um Spencer says yeah, I agree. They definitely, whoever is the owner, because I'm sure they knew. I don't know whether maybe he was their son, or I don't know, or just a child they watch, but under no circumstances, even teenagers, if you're watching older kids, should definitely be separated from, younger kids, especially babies. And I'm sure whoever the daycare owner was, she knew, or he knew. They knew. They knew the level, and if that child had some kind of sensory issues. Elisa said my son is 13, nonverbal. Oh, excuse me, logistic, and I would have done the same thing this grandmother did if, yeah, okay, we're gonna get to that topic too. They say there's help out there, but there's not. You're all alone and we are all cut. Yeah. Uh Spencer says, anyone see the video of the nonverbal autistic child that was found in the toy section in Target? What? The officer bought him the toys. Really?
Mm.
Did they say where the parents were? No, I didn't see that one,
I didn't
Spencer.
see that one either.
Wow.
I think I think what happened is he got away from his parents. You look, you just get distracted for a split second, and the kid is gone. Goes over
Took
to where
off.
he wants to go, and they probably figured where he was. They probably figured him in the toy section, but they hadn't caught up with him.
Okay. Hey, Lorienda. Lolo. Good evening, dear Nita, Charles, Teresa. I just wanted to say hi and that I'm sending each of you blessings. I miss you all. A lot going on here, and I be exhausted after work. And I truly understand, Lorienda. I cannot wait to retire. 9 years. I'm hoping it goes fast. It will.
But good to have you
I
with us,
want to be
Orianda.
like Nita when I grow up. Smiles. Love you all. It'll
Good,
go by real quick.
good to have you with us, Lorianda. Even
Yes.
if you are tired, good to have you here.
Uh-huh. Hey Kelly, how are
Hey,
you?
Kelly.
Hi, Kelly
What's up, nephew?
Darrell, hello, how are you?
and Terrell.
Elisa says the daycare dropped the ball, and there should always be more than one set of eyes on our kids at all times when they're in these. Yes, yes, I agree. But and then, like I said, on that note, older kids should be nowhere near, babies. And left alone? What were they thinking?
Yeah, of course, a lot of details are missing here, like left alone for how long. Of course, it didn't take long for the tragedy to happen, but that may explain, kind of, they may have forgotten that he was autistic, treated him just like any other teenager, because as most teenagers, while you wouldn't leave them alone for a long time with a baby, let's face it, people hire teenage babysitters to babysit their babies. So, you know, but you're dealing with a kid who's on the autism spectrum. You got a whole different ball game, and again, where he was in the spectrum too, and how unpredictable his behavior was. Those are two details that are kind of missing here.
Yeah. Terrell says, I'm autistic. I wouldn't leave any child alone, neural or not. Hey Joe, where you been? How you
Hey,
been?
Joe.
And
Glad
Joe,
to see you. I think I could leave an infant with jelly long enough to go to the bathroom. Number one, but that's about it. Yeah. Replying. Okay. Oh, you're talking to Elisa. Okay, I'm gonna thank you guys. Keep doing what you're doing. Thank you for dropping in, Terrell. Hey, Candy. How
Hi,
are
Candy.
you? We were just talking about the tragedy that happened with the 17-year-old who unalived the infant at a daycare. And I was just wondering, what are your thoughts? Would you feel comfortable leaving your autistic son with an infant by themselves for a length of time? Um, Share your thoughts. Joe say you've been checking it. Okay, well, I hope all is well with you and Jilly.
Yeah.
Hey, Yana B, how are you?
Hi, Yana B.
Yep, so make sure you guys share your thoughts in the chat. Okay, now we're going to move on to the ABA therapist. Have you guys talked about that? Now, this is not to attack ABA in no way, shape, or form, but to discuss what should families expect from professionals. But before we go into that, if you guys seen the articles, I did post it on the page. But if you've seen the articles, what are your thoughts about this ABA therapist attacking a teenager? And I'm assuming this may have been one of her clients. Um, that's scary. For me, you leave your child in the care thinking they're going to be helped, whatever the situation is, for behaviors, and then you go and attack the child. Was there not an out? Were you not able, if something were going on, were you not able to call other, you know, um, people in the building to come help you out of a situation? What what was going on here? What are you guys' thoughts on that?
Again, I didn't hear about the incident. Hey, Monique. I didn't hear about the incident, but I mean, when it comes to therapists, the problem is you've got bad apples in every barrel. Of course, sooner or later, those bad apples get weeded out, but unfortunately, they get weeded out after somebody becomes the victim of that bad apple.
Yeah, and it's just scary. Hey, Monique. So, Monique, we touched on the situation with the young man, the 17-year-old who unalived the baby, and the question was, would you feel comfortable leaving your autistic loved one with an infant? And should older kids, and my thought is, in no way, shape, or form would I leave my son with an infant by himself for no length of time, because you don't know what's going on here. You don't know if the baby starts crying, and that could cause a whole issue. Share your thoughts. And we're also talking about now about the ABA therapist who attacked the 16-year-old. And I'm assuming that was her client. I didn't thoroughly read the article, but what are you guys' thoughts on that too?
Yeah, I'm going to say on the other thing, that thinking back for myself to when I was a teenager, um, and I think it would not have been a good idea to leave a baby in my care for any length of time. In a couple minutes, that would have been okay, but any length of time, no. Later, of course, I've raised a daughter, and so I've had experience in taking care of a baby. But by then, I was older. I was in my 20s. By the time Dorothy was born, I was 25. Going on 26, and so I wasn't a teenager anymore, and so that made a difference.
Okay. Um, Kelly says we still watch Jordan with our 4-year-old grandson. Sierra is 9 and does well with Jordan. Okay, great. Yeah. Yana B says no, I wouldn't. Um, we have not used ABA therapy. And here's the thing. You have to really make sure that there is a connection um with the therapist and and the client. So if your child has ABA, there's got to be a connection there. I know a lot of people have had issues with ABA, and I do want to say what my experience with ABA was beautiful. My son had absolute wonderful um RBT. Beautiful. She worked with him. We still talk every now and then uh to this day, and I trust her. He's been places with her, never a problem. Never a problem. But I'm not saying these positive situations is not everybody's experience. So, what are healthy boundaries when it comes to being in not just ABA therapy, but any type of session where you have to leave your child? Um, what are you
Yeah.
guys'
I mean,
thoughts
you
on
can
that?
do the best you can to vet the therapist, any kind of therapy. By the way, about ABA itself, and the positive, negative experiences about ABA in general. The vibes I've gotten about ABA from hearing from other people is that it seems to be great for kids where level 2, level 3, maybe not so appropriate for kids who are level 1. That's kind of the vibe I've gotten from what I've heard from others. Maybe other types of therapy are better for level 1, but
Kelly says, I think this can happen with any therapist or healthcare providers. It has happened to Jordan with a CNA nurse. Um, I think I talked about that before. Yes. So, how do we know when it's time to report someone? If well, if you get that inside gut feeling, they always say go with your gut. If you have a gut feeling that something's not right, you remove your child from that situation. But how do you know what what would be that trigger that says, I don't feel right with this therapist, I'm going to report them?
you know, something I'll say about that is, it's one thing to remove your child from the situation. That's probably a good idea to have a gut feeling. On the other hand, you can't report a gut feeling. You have to have something specific, something specific wrong that therapist has done, some specific reason why this needs to be reported. You can't report a gut feeling. I think there's a difference between that and when you're aware of some specific misconduct on the therapist's part versus you just this doesn't feel right. In which case, yeah, find another therapist, but you don't really have anything to report.
So, what are some red flags do you guys think we should watch for? If they're not so obvious, but red flags, what are some
Their
things that
expressions,
their
their
expressions? Okay.
expression, and the way they act. I think I had to do that with a ER doctor one time with David, and I wasn't getting good vibes with him and all
Mhm.
that. And I told his Pete because David was running a high fever.
Okay.
And I took him to I took him to the hospital because I was like, my son shouldn't be running a high fever. I don't know what was because it. Doctor didn't check him out or anything. I told his pediatrician and I reported him. I reported the ER doctor, wrote a 3-page report, and they
Wow.
fired him.
Okay.
They fired
Uh,
him the next day.
uh,
Wow. He must have had something else on his record too
And
for
yeah, because
them.
I told because he was telling me like, oh no, you don't do that. You're not supposed to be doing that. And I'm like, of giving my child a cool bath just to bring down his fever because that's how it was brought up by my parents and all that. And he was telling me, no, you don't do that. He didn't check his lung. He didn't check his heart. He didn't check his lungs. Didn't check his ears. Found out that he had a double ear infection by his pediatrician. I called his pediatrician that night. Told him, like, you know what? Bring him in the next day. Bring him in on Saturday, Teresa. So he
Hmm.
opened his doors and took David and says, you know what? He has a double ear infection.
Wow. Well, I'm
Put him on
glad you
antibiotics.
caught that.
And
well,
plus, he was
there,
dehydrated too.
well, there. The thing is, what you're saying is there was something specific. The way that ER doctor handled things, the ER doctor didn't do what he was clearly supposed to do. So you had something specific to report. It was more than just a
Uh,
gut feeling.
and then the following months when he had it again, I took him back in. Found out, I found out from other nurses because I had it there, and they told me it's like, you know what, Teresa, they fired him. It's like, really? Because none of the nurses
He
liked
didn't
him.
do. He
Yeah.
wasn't doing. He wasn't doing his job properly.
Mm-hmm.
Monique says, going back to the other conversation, no, I wouldn't leave Justice with the infant or a toddler. I agree. I wouldn't leave DeAndre either. Um, Kelly says Jordan had 3 nurses. 2 out of the 3 were abusive. Oh wow. I'm sorry he had to go through that. His nurse Brandy was amazing, and Mr. Charles is right. Yeah, I'm sorry he had to go. I, why do they take these jobs? That's my first thought. If you don't want
Well,
to
some
deal with the
people,
kid,
it's just for the money. It's not because they really want to do the work of a nurse or the work of a whatever. They're in it for the money, and they think they're doing the public a grand favor simply by doing the jobs which performing the job which they're getting paid. And if they are asked to do anything beyond the call of duty,
hey
anything even
Rihanna, how
seemingly
are
beyond the call
you?
of duty.
Yeah, you're not too late, but you can reply to any of the topics. Yeah, you can reply to any other topics. We're talking about if you're just coming in. We're talking about the teenager who unalived the infant. What are your thoughts on that? Would you leave your loved one on the spectrum with an infant, especially if they are older? Would you leave a teenager with an infant? Share your thoughts. The other topic is the therapist who jumped on her client, or I'm assuming was a client of hers, a 16-year-old uh, boy who was jumped on. What was she thinking? Where was her mind? And she's supposed to be the therapist. What are your thoughts on that? How do you feel about that?
I think it's like when David would go to PT, physical therapy, I'm always in the room with him.
Mhm,
I don't leave him alone with anybody.
mhm.
I'm right there
Now, I
with him
think
at all times.
I would suggest with any parent, especially if you have young kids and you want to try out ABA, do home base first. Do home base and uh or if the school allows it, have the ABA the RBT go into the school with your child. That way the teacher's always around. And that way you'll feel comfortable. But um, start off with home base. That way you're in the house or you're in the room and you can always monitor. If you do center base, a lot of times, most of the time when they do center base, you have to either drop off, but you can't be in there with them. But I think center base should be for older, and when you feel a little more, or you feel a little more comfortable. But yeah, always start off with home base. Um,
Yes,
Monique said
Justice has had good relationships with his robot.
with his robot, his RBT, Mr. Charles. The one he has now is wonderful. Good. Yeah, because Monique, that connection um has to be there, and we can about tell if it's not gonna work out. That um chemistry between them has to work, and we have to feel comfortable. Major behavior change. Are we speaking on a young boy that
Or
was jumped
I think
on?
he's talking about things that could be a red flag with a therapist.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Red
Yeah,
flag, definitely.
yeah, and
Definitely,
of course,
definitely.
again, you can't report that because that's not a concrete accusation, not concrete proof that the therapist has done anything wrong. You need something a little more concrete to be able to report it, but at least that's a reason to switch therapists.
Yeah, because if your child is acting out or acting differently every time you take them or the therapist comes around, then yeah, that is a red flag, definitely. Kelly says, I reported a TSS worker when Jeremiah was with his father at Walmart and was running around the store by himself. Oh. Uh-oh. The TSS worker and ex-husband were smoking outside this what? Oh my goodness. And not paying attention to uh
Uh,
well, yeah, I would have reported that too.
yeah,
I
yeah,
also
they're
had
addicted to nicotine. That was the problem.
I also had the TSS worker put my son Jeremiah in cold shower when he wouldn't listen with my ex again.
Wow.
Okay. And Joe says trigger. Yeah. So in this case, what's other ways? This is well, when you remove your child from a situation, or when you report, just remember, parents, that you're advocating for your child right there. That's You're advocating for your child. If you know your child is not in the best of a situation, that is advocating for your child.
And as he said, the major behavior change, and again, we're taking that as meaning a major behavior change for the worse. If it's a major behavior change for the better, that's a whole different story. But talking for the worse, at the very least, you know that this therapist is not helping your child. Even if the therapist isn't necessarily doing anything wrong, this is not working. So that's reason to try something different or try someone different.
Jeremiah had a wonderful TSS worker. Oh, I'm sorry, guys. TSS worker come into the home, and we, as a family, did activities with her. I've had it good and bad with both Jeremiah and Jordan. Okay. Yep. So now let's get into the grandmother. This one for some, because, you know, people automatically didn't understand what this grandmother was doing. Um, the granddaughter, she was walking with her granddaughter, and I believe she was either holding her ear or her
Hair.
hair, her hair, um, so she wouldn't run off. Well, they had people that, of course, they didn't understand what was going on. Why are you doing that? They thought she was being abusive. They thought she was being mean. They don't understand. They don't understand what we have to go through to keep our children safe. Um, but what are your thoughts? What were you if you seen the article, what were your initial thoughts when you first seen it? Did you think, how dare she? Or did you immediately understand? You
I
know?
understood,
I
but
understood.
you know, I think though the grandmother maybe should think about, are there is there something different she could do to keep control of her granddaughter in a potentially dangerous situation, you know, like crossing a busy street. Is there some different way she could control her, because you know of the way it looks when you're having somebody by the hair.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Maybe she didn't. We have to take into consideration. Here's a young girl. She probably full of energy. And here's a grandmother, older, probably like me. When I'm out with DeAndre, I hold his arm. Because if you take off right now, I can't run after you. I'm sorry, my knees hurt.
The thing is, you hold his arm though,
So,
not his hair.
huh?
The thing is though, you hold his arm, not his hair.
Oh, but still, she probably didn't have no choice. You know what I'm saying? I'm saying she's older, so if she was holding on to her arm, that girl probably had strength of I don't know what. I know how to handle DeAndre.
Yeah.
Maybe grandma, you know, this was the only way. We're at this street. We're at this street right now, and I can see it. If you run in this street, there is no way I could take off and run after you. So I'm gonna do the best I can, and that's grabbing your hair to keep you close to me. Now, what she could do different is maybe get a harness,
That's what
when
I'm
they go on.
thinking.
Yeah, so a harness and keep that would help, because like I said, if DeAndre took off on me, and he's done that before. He sees some sticks or some branches and he just boom, and I have to, I can jog a little bit. I'm not a sprinter, but I have to please stop. Please. Please. But I always know, I do know my son, and I know he's gonna, when he gets to what he's looking for, he's gonna stop right there. But when I know we're by a street or something, I'm holding on to that arm. I'm Come on, we're walking together. But
Yeah.
yeah, I think a harness. What are you guys' thoughts in the chat? What did you
I
guys think of
I
that?
was for David when he was little because
Mhm.
he would just run. So I
So
had to use for him with the back
yeah,
the backpack harness. And
and I remember.
I got looked at. I got stares. I got
Mhm.
mean comments from other people. They were telling me I would treat him like a dog.
But
I'm
yeah,
like,
See,
a
that's
lot,
that
dog.
a
they
lot,
don't understand.
a
Yeah.
lot depends on where the child is on the spectrum, and how, to what extent it's possible to educate the child about danger. To what extent it's possible, because some children you can't. They're just they're not
It would
going to get it, no matter how hard you try. Others, will get. I remember when I was little, I used to, repeat, although in my own words, the safety advice from my mom: better not run across the street or you get ran over. My mom, who used to be an English teacher, would try to correct my grammar, and I would insist that that was right.
my he was a eloper when he was little.
Yeah.
So there was no way for him just to walk by himself, and there was no way because he would have just taken off. Oh, I had to get one. I was like, I'm putting my son's life at safe. I'm putting his safety comes first
Yes.
because I could not.
Maybe people should ask if someone needs help instead of criticism. I had Jordan flop to the floor and Pap couldn't get him up. I had to intervene. Riker has a harness when with me. Yep, yep. So that goes to that. A lot of people just don't understand. And to go back to what you were saying, also, Teresa, I can remember a couple years ago, well, more than a couple years ago. I think we were on here, we were talking about harnesses, but I know there was a public figure who said that uh, I think she was out at Disney World or somewhere, and the mom had the harness, and she was really mad at that mom for having the harness on the child,
Yeah, I remember
and
that one.
start bashing the mom, saying you just don't have control of your kids. And when everybody was trying to explain to her what possibly could be going on, she didn't want to hear it. She was stuck on, oh, y'all just don't have control over your kids. You should know how to control your kids, blah, 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 blah. But you don't understand. You don't
Hmm.
understand. And
Well,
it's especially if we have other kids in tow, you know, we have to stay focused on everybody.
some people are not going to understand, and forget about them. And sometimes you have to pretend like they didn't exist. Of course, it's another thing when someone who doesn't understand reports you to Child Protective Services. That's another problem. But the fact is, you're not going to. Some people are just not going to understand, no matter how much you try to explain it to them.
Oh,
Right.
I've been trained with CPS by adults because he was on a harness when he was little.
Just because he was on a harness.
I was like, I'm gonna call CPS. I was like, go ahead and call CPS because you don't know your facts about autism.
Yeah, but I agree with Kelly. Maybe people should ask, you
Mm-hmm.
know, if they see a situation like that, before you automatically assume, stop and say, "Hey, is everything okay? Can I help you in some kind of way?" You know, and don't just assume, you know, something else is going on.
Oh yeah.
Joe says Jilly is not one to just run off. She will tell you in her way that she wants to see something. I got lucky there. Yeah, good. And DeAndre he didn't start doing this running until he got older. And it's the sticks. It's the sticks that did it. So except for the one time when he was younger and he ran to the store for some chips in a pull up.
Wow.
I've pulled Jordan back with his shirt when the bus would come. Yep. Yep. Gotta
I've
do
done.
what you gotta do. Gotta do what you gotta do.
And and since David wears a has a backpack, and I have him carry it, I just grab him by the backpack and tell him to stop, and he will stop.
Hmm.
I
Yeah.
tell him do not cross the street without holding on to Mama's hand. But I still get looks at, so I don't care.
Of
Yeah.
course. Okay, you guys. Well, those are our questions. Great questions. Um, and before we end this one, but many, caregivers have just seconds. I just want to remind people, if you're listening in and just don't understand, a lot of our kids are elopers, and sometimes we just got seconds to react, especially if they're around traffic. You have to, no matter what, I'd rather hurt you a little bit by pulling you to safety than for you to run out in the street and get hit, you
Yeah.
know.
Getting your hair pulled There's a lot is way preferable to getting ran over,
Yes, definitely.
as I used to put it.
Okay, so we're at the last few minutes. If anyone wants to come on up, you are more than welcome. If you are just going through here, passing through here, um, let us know where you're coming coming from and how old your loved one is on the spectrum. And yes, Joe, the ninja sticks. I don't think parent or grandparent thinks when the child is in danger and reacts. Yep. You don't think. It's just like danger, danger.
Yeah,
So I'm going to put the link in here. Um, but please, if you have any final thoughts about any of tonight's topic, feel free. And the chat is all as always open discussion. So if you want to share anything else, you are more than welcome.
I know. I took David grocery shopping this month, and he did very good of staying
Okay.
right next to me.
So was he able? Do you make a list and let him pick out his
I
stuff?
have I have a list on. I write a list, a grocery list on it, and I have him pick out his stuff that he likes, that
Okay.
he asked for. Like if it's certain chips, I let him say, "Okay, the chips are right here on this aisle. Go pick out your chips. Is there any cookies you want?" He picks out his cookies. He
What
picks out his stuff that he
he
likes.
wants? Okay.
So
yeah,
I let him pick, but I tell him we cannot go over the budget.
Yeah. So I just started doing that with grocery shopping with DeAndre.
And I reward him.
We write out a list of things, his own list of things he likes or will eat, and take him to the grocery store and go down the list. Let him pick out his stuff. The only thing about DeAndre and grocery shopping, if you tell him to pick up one thing, he will go over there, go get it. He'll point at something he wants. Go get it. Go get one. He wants to grab two or three.
Mm-hmm.
No, it doesn't work like that. And he does it every time.
yeah,
Does that. David was like, he'll grab like 2 bags of each. I'm like, no.
No.
And now he's picking out new foods now since being on this Alaola. He's trying new foods.
yeah.
And
Speaking of
now he's
foods,
or he wants to go
tonight
to Dairy Queens.
tonight I fixed linguine with shrimp and arugula and this lemon oil and that.
Mm.
But now he wants to go to Dairy Queens, which my mom and I are gonna take him.
Oh, that's nice.
It's good. Yeah.
Kelly says Riker's B day was the ninth. Happy birthday. I'm sorry I missed the birthday, but happy birthday, Riker. And he went to the movies today to see Moana at the big
Moana.
theater. I hope he did good for mama and dad. I'm proud of him. Awesome. Happy
It's a
birthday.
Moana
All these
movie.
July birthdays. Wait, hold on, you guys. DeAndre is at the door. I'll be right back and then we're gonna close out. Give me 1 second.
Okay.
Yeah, it's that new
Yeah.
Moana movie with Dwayne Johnson.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Just before we were getting on here, fixed dinner, took out the garbage, fixed you know linguine with shrimp and lemon oil and arugula for Cindy and me. How's the weather out there in California?
It's kind of humid right now. it's cloudy, but it looks like it's gonna rain outside. Yeah, it's basically overcast over here.
Yeah, today I think the high we had was 30. Now it's down to 24. And,
What's the weather over there, Nita?
I think it was like, let me see, I could tell you. We had a really nice day today. Really nice. 82 right now.
Shoot, it's overcast.
82.
here the temperature right now is 24. Supposed to get up to 33 on Tuesday and Wednesday, though.
Okay. So, everybody, thank you for spending part of your Sunday evening with us. I hope you leave tonight feeling encouraged, supported, and reminded that you're not walking this journey alone. Please take care of yourselves this week because you know our main thing is self care because caregivers matter too. I'll see you all next Sunday. Uh, and closing out, any final thoughts, Mr. Charles?
Again, everybody, take care of yourselves. Again, when it comes to therapists, look for what's best for your child. ABA thing, I've heard mixed reviews, but it seems like it's more for kids in our level 2, level 3 than for level 1. But whatever kind of therapy you're doing, and you get that gut feeling about a therapist, by all means, find another therapist. And
Yes,
take care of yourselves.
definitely. Teresa?
Keep your baby safe
Yes,
and take
at
care.
all times.
Yeah, at all times.
All right, everybody. Thank you. And until next week, we shall meet again. I appreciate each and every one of you. Um, bye.
Good night.
Bye.